Hello and you're very welcome to another JMAC podcast. I'm John McMahon, and of course this podcast is brought to you by outgoing and Atak.ie. Use my promo code JMAC podcast to get 15% off on outgoing and get the best skins, gloves and equipment on Atak.ie. Be attack minded. And if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe on YouTube because the support has been absolutely brilliant so far. And tonight I'm joined by former Cavan great Finbar Riley to talk about his career, his coaching experience, the COVID situation, and Cavan's lovely spell in Division 4. And it starts this Sunday against Leitrim. So as you can see on the expression of both of our faces, we're really looking forward to it. Not. Finbar, how are you keeping?
I'm good, John. I'm good. Yourself?
All good, sir. All is good, thank God. It's a lovely Thursday night, and we've the feet up. The wee lads are in bed, so life's good, Finbar.
So what else would you be at by? But I don't know what else you're at these days. You seem to be podcasting in your sleep.
Herself hasn't seen me in days, Finbar. Herself hasn't seen me in days.
Maybe she's glad of that, lad.
Probably is for all concerned. How is life, Finbar? You were talking to me off air. St. Pat's have bowed out of the McCrory Cup. That was obviously taking a lot of your attention in the last couple of weeks. So obviously you will be 100% back again, and you're questioning your future for the next year or so. But who knows? But we'll wait and see. But what's the fallout like from it?
Disappointing, John. Very, very much disappointing. We felt we had a good team. We felt we were in with a shout of going the distance or going as going really deep into the competition. But look at we had a good strong first half last Saturday week, and unfortunately we didn't carry that into the second half, and we paid the price. Mahara hit 5 or 6 unanswered points in the second half, and we just struggled to get a foothold in the game as a result of that. So look, we ended up losing by 2 points, and it's disappointing because them chances don't come around too often. It's the McCrory, just the way the school years are structured does sort of favour the northern schools, and it leaves us at a slight disadvantage. But that's it. It's gone for this year, and we were very disappointed by it. But that's it. You move on and look at the good young lads, and they've good bright futures ahead of them. So look at that's the most important thing. It's a tough lesson along the road for them.
Definitely, and obviously lots more football in them lads' lives, another 15-20 years to keep their bodies right, which no doubt they will. And I suppose, what was the journey like up until last Saturday, Finbar? Obviously you were talking to me a couple of weeks ago about the preparation, the time that goes into it. So Finbar, what was the whole journey like through to the quarter final?
Yeah, well, we had a tough group, John. We had Oma and Enniskillen. It was a 3-team group, and they would have been 2 of the stronger teams in the competition. So we actually had 2 draws. We drew with both of them, but it was enough to get us through because Enniskillen had lost to Oma. So we had 2 tough games. One was the Enniskillen game was played in Killigary, and the Oma game was played in Oher. So yeah, look, we qualified, and then that left us with a 5-week gap to prepare for the quarterfinals. I'd be lying if I said it was a nice, perfect, smooth run into the quarterfinal. It wasn't. We had a couple of different issues with COVID, and a few lads just picked up COVID along the line, and that really knocked them back. We had a couple of injury issues as well, and that just didn't help things. But such is life. All teams have those issues, and you just have to deal with it. So look, we put our best foot forward as much as we possibly could, and look, it came to a conclusion last Saturday week in Oher, and as you say, we bowed out to a decent Mahara side. And that's it. Look, that was it. It was, I suppose, the campaign was over very quickly. When you look back at it, it sort of came and went very quickly. And that's it. You get one chance when it gets to quarterfinal stages. You got to step up and perform. And for stages of the game we did, and other stages of the game we didn't. And ultimately we paid the price, John, and we're gone. That's it, really, in a nutshell.
Definitely, Finbar. I suppose, what does the future kind of hold for that St. Pat's kind of McCrory team? Because obviously I did see pictures, like the lads are obviously in great nick, and obviously thanks to yourself and all the kind of coaches and all that kind of stuff, Finbar. So they'll be back again, no doubt.
Well, look, a lot of them, John, are playing senior football for their clubs. and they will continue to do that. There's no question about that. A lot of them are on the county minors, and a lot of them are on the county under 20 squad. So they have a very, very good future ahead of them. Like, I mean, McRory it's a sort of it's a landmark sort of a competition if you're lucky enough to play it. It's not the be all and end all, but it's a fantastic, prestigious, historic competition, and that all the lads are really, really keen on playing and representing their school in. And look, that has come and gone for the majority of them. Some of them are underage next year again, in saying that. But look, they have bright futures ahead, John, no question, with club and county, and indeed at third level. A lot of them will go on to third level now as well and play Sigerson football. So, and yeah, the future is bright for all them boys, and they will be the better of this experience, of the McRory experience, definitely.
Definitely. The future's bright for the lads without. And obviously, as I said at the start of the podcast, we're faced into Division 4, Finbar. So all guns blazing for this Sunday against Leitrim. So I suppose, what's the outgoing emotion? We've had the McKenna Cup campaign, we've had Armagh, we've had Tyrone, we drew against Armagh, bet Tyrone, and now we have Leitrim this weekend. So league starting back, it's great excitement with all the leagues campaign starting. So it's great to see it. But I suppose, did you get to see the Armagh Tyrone games?
I didn't get to those games, John. I have to say now, I seen some of the Tyrone game on stream. Didn't get up there. The Tyrone match was very impressive. A lot has been made of Tyrone only being home and off the plane and all that, but I wouldn't read much into that. I think Cavan played very, very well on the night and were worthy winners. So surely there can be a huge amount of confidence taken from that performance. I wouldn't get tied up on the score line. The performance was the big thing, and even against Armagh, I thought they performed quite well. So there was plenty to take from the McKenna Cup. It's a case now. The real test for this Cavan team is they're going down to Carrick-on-Shannon now on Sunday in a game that they simply have to win. Like, there just can be no other. There can be no other debate or argument around this. It's a game they have to win, and it's a game they should be winning. And that's no slight on Leitrim in any way, shape or form. Cavan were Ulster champions just over, 14, 15 months ago. And they need to start putting a run of consistency together in the league. You know, like this thing of not caring about the league is just nonsense now, as far as I'm concerned. Like, no team in the country adapts that attitude. Everybody wants to play up on as high a level of league as they possibly can, and for this Cavan team, they need to go to Carrick-on-Shannon and win, and it's going to be tough because Leitrim are really going to be up for this. Cavan are a big scalp in Leitrim's eyes, but so be it. You got to deal with that, get on with it, perform, get the win, and get the show on the road.
Like, obviously, yeah, that mentality, Finbar, and I touched on the podcast last week with like Mickey Graham's kind of mentality towards the league, and he's been absolutely vocally and like honest about his mentality towards the league campaign and everything that goes with that, Finbar. But I always, and like any Joe Soap, is always very of the opinion that, you know, it's a great building block. You need momentum from it, and like to have that mentality. Look where we are now. Probably really shameful stuff for a county the standard of Cavan, Finbar. So I suppose that mentality really is flawed.
Well, you play 7 league games in a year, okay? And outside of the league, you know, you may play 2, 3, 4 championship matches if things are going well. You may only play 2 championship matches if things are going well, but the back door, obviously. So there isn't that many matches when you really look at it that way. You're looking at maybe 9, 10, 11 matches. So why would you go through 7 matches and not want to win them and progress, build the confidence, build a culture of winning and a mentality of winning? And I think if you look at Dublin, when they were at their absolute pomp, they won 4 or 5 leagues in a row. They were always in league finals. Kerry have been constantly in league finals. Tyrone have, you know, always aimed to do well in the league. You know, you can go down through the years of teams historically. So I just don't think it has served Cavan well. And you know, when you see where they are now in Division 4, it definitely hasn't served them well from a league point of view. So I think that this is a championship match on Sunday. It's an absolute must win. We simply cannot afford to start losing games to Division 4 teams. You know, we really can't. We have to see ourselves that we need to be getting back up there, up to Division 2, pushing to get back to Division 1. And in order to do that, John, we've got to be winning games. And, you know, that sort of approach of not really taking the league serious, well, that doesn't wash with me now.
Definitely, myself included in that, Finbar, I suppose. But I suppose I was talking to a fella a couple of days ago, and he was kind of talking about maybe the mentality of Cavan football and kind of like bettering yourself. And obviously, you were involved with the county team for years, Finbar. So I suppose kind of having that kind of mentality sometimes, maybe not taking things seriously, and maybe we got ourselves into positions over the years by putting ourselves in them positions brutally and being honest about it. So Finbar, like, was that a mentality that was probably has always been in Cavan and something we really need to shake off, Finbar?
From my experience,
well, yeah, or even generally, I suppose, yeah.
Well, like, I mean, from my experience of playing when I was with Cavan, we always took the league serious.
Yeah,
we definitely did. And if it was the thing you got relegated, it was terrible. Like, it was a horrible experience, and you know, you're dropping down a level. You're dropping down to a lower standard. Like, nobody wants that. That's not going to serve you in the long run. The objective has to be to play at as high a level as you possibly can. Like, take Monaghan, for example. You know, they are 7-8 years playing consistently in Division 1, taking scalps along the way. Because of that, then they're a hardened championship team. They won 2 championships, also championships in 13 and 15, as a result of playing in Division 1. But no, our approach, going back to the noughties when I was there, like, but our approach was the league was definitely taken serious, and it was a great tester for tougher games ahead. And we got to a league final in 2002, and that was a big thing, and that sort of helped us going on into those next couple of years. It's great for confidence and belief, and just that mentality of playing the higher teams and the better teams.
Definitely. I suppose kind of focusing on the present, obviously we have seen very good performances grow up with Kieran. Got man of the match in both games. He got man of the match against Armagh and Tyrone. So I suppose kind of following that consistency, and you were kind of touching on the start, getting that consistency off the start. And in fairness, we did see in both games, you know, Mickey Graham, he's definitely not holding back. We've seen the strongest teams against both Armagh. We ran the bench against Tyrone, Finbar. So I suppose things are looking up. A lot of lads are taking it seriously. You know, whoever's back's back, and maybe some of the Rammer and Garner boys might have to come in. I think Oisin Pearson's getting an operation on the shoulder. He's out. Kieran Holla-Brady's injury is worse than we originally first thought. So we've the full deck of cards, Finbar.
Well, that's what I say, John. There's no excuses, hey. Like, I mean, it's a clean slate. It's a new year. We are where we are league-wise, and it starts. Business starts on a serious level on Sunday. Like, you know, we have to travel to Carrick-on-Shannon with a championship mentality. You know, we've 7 games to get out of this division. We must get out of it. If we get to Croke Park and lift the trophy, it's a huge bonus. It's something we haven't done as a county, and I don't know when. So it starts. It's a stepping stone on Sunday, but to go to Carrick-on-Shannon, put in a big performance, get the win, move on. That has to be the attitude, and it has to be attitude of the management and of the players. That's the way it has to be, and I have no doubt it will be. I think that going to the Division 4 has been a huge sort of knockback for everybody involved, and I have no doubt that will be the attitude on the mentality on Sunday. No question. And I think we will win. I do expect us to win. Anything else just isn't worth thinking about, John.
Oh, Jesus.
It's just not. It's not. But it's not going to be easy. Like, I mean, Andy Moore is in there, and as I said, they will relish, and he will relish playing Cavan. It's a home game, and it's neighbours. They will always sort of feel that they're a little bit inferior to Cavan. That's just sort of a mindset, you know, that maybe Cavan look down on them or whatever, and we probably have no right to do that. But they will relish it, and it's going to be a really good test, and it's a great way to start off your league campaign. And that's it. Cavan have to go out with a performance that's able to match that test that's going to come from Leitrim.
Definitely. Obviously, the standards have been pretty high so far, because I know maybe that cutting edge against Armagh we were lacking, to finish off the game. But in fairness, against Tyrone, and I know like the team that did put out, but like, I know back in the holidays some lads didn't play, some lads didn't train, whatever. But like, the shooting was brilliant by Cavan. Paddy Lynch was brilliant up front. Grow did a great game. Seeing Conor Moynihan coming off. So as I did say, we did empty the bench, but we were very, very efficient. And I suppose the big thing is, it's all right for Grow to get man of the match in McKenna Cup games, but we want to see that man get the man of the match in league games and championship games.
Oh, well, look, I don't think we can question Garrod's his capacity and his ability to perform on the big day. Like, he has done it year in, year out, and his appetite and his consistency is remarkable, and that's admirable. It really is. It's a huge boost for him to get them 2 man of the match awards. But look, he's going to be a marked man on Sunday in Carrick and Shannon. He will know that, but he's had that all his life, and more often than not, in fairness, Garrod does measure up. He measures up and he leads and he scores. He just needs other guys to back him up. We need him and other guys to step up on Sunday to get the job done. And I think they will. I think they will. It's Paddy Lynch and these guys. Is Oisín fit? Is he in contention, Oisín Pearson?
I think he has to get that operation done, doesn't he?
Yeah. I don't think he's in the picture. Yeah, but they've enough of quality. They've enough of quality to get the job done.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose kind of general expectations for the year ahead, and obviously like the league is going to be very important. You have the likes of London and Tipperary, Waterford, Wexford, all them teams to suppose deal with Finbar. I suppose like the general kind of consensus maybe around the county is, them teams probably will bring us down to their level, even when the games are they'll probably be very defensive games of football. So Finbar, we have to be realistic. It'll not be a cakewalk.
No, it's not. No, it's no. Well, I think across all 4 divisions, all teams are well coached, and or even Division 4 teams are their conditioning and strength and stuff is coming on to a better level. So you're going to be tested. You have Tipperary down there as well. I think we have to go travel to Sligo. Is that game away as well?
I think so.
I think it is. Like, Sligo are going to be a tough prospect as well. So
Tony McEntee.
Yeah. So none of them are going to be easy. There are no easy games. The games are only as easy as how you approach them and how you perform in them. If you approach them in the right way and you perform at the level that you should be setting your standard for, well then, the results possibly could and should come your way. But if your approach to it is not right, and your mentality and your training and your preparation is potentially, you're a little bit, you're taking things for granted and you're thinking this is going to be easy, well then, you run the risk of losing games and getting caught up in tight matches. So
is it Wicklow? I suppose the best example you can nearly say, Finbar, the game against Wicklow last year in Navan, I know it was going to be a bit of a fortress. We were odds on, obviously, to get the job done. Everyone expected us, but should that game be a prime example that we really do need to take every game seriously this year? Because the Wicklow game, by God, Finbar, we didn't think that was going to happen.
Well, without a doubt, I think the Wicklow game last year, if ever there was, it's going back to what I was saying about Sunday being a championship match. Like last year, the Wicklow game, without a shadow of a doubt, was a championship match. Like it just simply had to be won. It was in Navan, a good venue, good pitch, and Cavan were hot favourites to win it. Were fully expected to win it, and yet they didn't win it. And that is.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's the little things.
Yeah, but there has to be huge learnings from that, and that has to be the real stick to beat this squad every week. Like, Mickey has got to use that game, that this just losing to the likes of them teams, it can happen, but we can't afford it to happen. It can happen maybe once, but if we want to get out of this league, we have to win 6 matches, and you do not want to lose your first game. We simply must get the win on Sunday, and complacency just is not an option, and that has to be reflected in the training sessions, and it has to be reflected in your meetings and everything leading into this game on Sunday. That it's a championship. The league for us is as important as the championship this year. It cannot be just pushing Everton out to the championship and a big push for the championship. Our championship starts on Sunday.
Yeah.
And the right frame of mind, no complacency, absolute work rate, and I have no doubt we have the better team, we have the better footballers. We need to have the right attitude and the right approach, and if we have, we'll win the game.
I just kind of get the sense from that Tyrone game, it really is all hands on deck this year, Finbar.
Yeah.
It really does need to be all hands on deck. And I suppose with the recent additions, we see Shawnee Johnson and Rice McMenamin come in to give a hand with Mickey. And obviously, Mickey looks like he has his full deck of cards now. Shawnee's gone in as a forwards coach. Rice has gone in as, I think, general coach, backs coach. So two men who's been there, done that, Finbar.
Yeah, and Marty Curry is still there as well. Marty.
John Denny.
John Denny as well, in the backroom team. Yeah. So in terms of pitch work, they've loads of top guys. Like Shawnee Johnson's an excellent coach. Rice McMenamin, by all accounts, is a no nonsense sort of guy on the training pitch, and of course Marty Corey is top class too. So there's no question in terms of what's in the backroom team there, preparing these guys. I wouldn't doubt that at all. It's just about getting, I suppose, the motivation, John, the mindset, the motivation, the mentality, that there is absolutely no room for complacency. It's ruthlessness. It's absolute business. You put Leitrim to the sword by whatever amount of points or whatever the case is. You get over the line, you get the job done, and you move on to the next week. And that's, for me, that's the approach that has to happen right through that league till you get the hell out of that division and start going back to places where we should be.
Obviously, kind of Mickey Graham's mindset towards that, obviously, because he did really want to leave no stones left unturned. We see all the lads are back. Them two new additions to the team. I know Darren McCabe did leave about a month or two ago. So, Finbar, in fairness to Mickey, he is leaving no stone left unturned.
No, definitely. He has assembled a very good backroom team. I suppose that's on paper. On paper, John, it looks like a very good backroom team. I suppose, like everything else in life, results dictate. You know, if the results are good, well, then the management team is fantastic and it's a great backroom team. If the results are not good, well, then all of a sudden, you know, I know this myself. You know, all of a sudden there's question marks about the backroom team and that sort of thing. But on paper, John, it looks like a good backroom team and a good coaching team. And you know, time will tell. Time will tell. How we see by the results, and we'll see by the performances. That will tell all.
Absolutely, Finbar, absolutely. And I suppose that you're kind of happy with the kind of standard of kind of Cavan club football at the minute, because obviously you were manager of the Kingstown senior footballers last year, and he's got to the semi-final against Gownie. Gownie got to the final, we're betting it by Rammer. But are you kind of happy, like, of the standard of Cavan kind of club football at the minute? Because you did obviously have a stint with Cavan seniors in 2017, but obviously you would have coached a lot of lads that's probably on the Cavan team at the minute, Tomas Galligan, and to name a few, Finbar. So are you kind of happy, I suppose, the way things are moving at the minute?
I think club football has slipped slightly from where it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I think, yes, there is more contenders for the championship. I suppose if you look at your top four, is probably in any particular order: Crishalaw, Ramor, Gales, Gowna. They're your top four, and then probably Kingscourt are pushing into that top four as well. And then after that, there seems to be a sort of a group of teams that are sort of in and around the same level. And I think it's those group of teams, John, not the top four. The next bracket of teams, I would say, have slightly dropped off in the last 3 or 4 years. If I think back, 2016, 17, those sort of years, like the likes of, even we'll say, our own club Lacken, like, you know, we beat the Gales in the championship in 2016. The likes of Lavi had a couple of huge results. Killigarry had 1 or 2 big scalps back in those years. Mullahorn, you know, back in those years were able to take any of the top teams on their day, whereas now I would be really pushed to see any of those sort of middle to lower bracket teams beating any of the top teams. Maybe with the exception of Ballinar or Kingscourt. They possibly on the day could, but outside of that, and just for that reason, John, I just think it has just slipped a little bit. There seems to be just that top four. There's a huge gap between the top four and the rest, and that's just my opinion. That's just from what I've seen over the last couple of years.
Definitely. I suppose kind of like the year you did kind of do with Kingstown, and I know it was a COVID year and it's shortened year, and obviously a great achievement to get to the semi-final, you work with the players you got. So like I suppose it was an enjoyable kind of year, and obviously you have a load of kind of coaching experience. But when you were kind of involved in the kind of county championship, seeing the games close on, so you did get a real taste for it. So what was that year? So it was a couple of months really like with Kingstown.
Yeah, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, John. Kingscourt for me is a top class club. They do things the right way. Club is very, very well run. There's a touch of class with the club, just the facilities and everything about it. They have a great history and a bit great pedigree in the Cavan Championship. So I was very proud to be Kingscourt manager, and I had a very enjoyable year. We came up short in the championship. Now we won our four group matches, and we finished second top in the overall table. We beat Lavi in the quarterfinal, and we came up short to a very good Gowna team. Like we would have no complaints whatsoever, and I wouldn't, and I don't think any of the players. Now some of the players probably would feel we didn't do ourselves justice on the day, and we conceded one or two late goals, which made the scoreline look worse than possibly it should have been. But overall, we were second best to Gowna, no question about it. But it was an enjoyable year, good lads, very, very good attitude, trained very, very well, excellent commitment, couldn't fault them in that regard. And look, maybe deserved a little bit more than losing by just 10 points. Maybe it wasn't the Gowna in the end, which I don't think they deserved overall, but that's it. That's football can be ruthless.
Definitely can't, Finbar. I suppose, like, how much kind of time goes in, like, and obviously we'll touch on your other teams now in a couple of minutes, but how much time does go into management? Because, I think we were kind of talking a couple of weeks ago, like, how much time, application, preparation goes into these things, Finbar? Because obviously picking players, getting lads out for training, everything that goes with that, obviously the lads that you had with as well. So it is quite time consuming, Finbar.
Oh, it's huge. You never really switch off from it. It's always there. You're always thinking about it. You're always thinking about how can I improve it? How can I make it better? What can we do on the coaching pitch? What can we do tactically? What can we do physically? Maybe in terms of S&C. There's so many different strands you're trying to move on, and it's a big job. Any of those senior clubs are big jobs, John, and you need good guys with you. And I suppose when the games get going, you have a lot of video analysis going on in the background. You're analysing your own performances. You're analysing the teams you're due to play in the next round of the championship. You're trying to, I suppose, digest that information yourself, get an understanding for it yourself, and then you have to get that information and understanding across to the players. There's no point in you knowing all this stuff. You need to get it to the players, and so that takes more time. You gotta get that information out there, and you have some video sessions to do, and so there's a lot goes into it. And you're planning training sessions, you're planning coaching sessions, you're keeping on top of the S&C as the year goes on, and this is before we even get to game day, so like it's there's a lot involved. If you want to be at the cutting edge of senior championship, you need to be on top of all that stuff. So it is time consuming, but very much enjoyable.
Definitely, Finbar. I suppose the couple of months that you did kind of give, and I know Owen Lennon's gone up to manage Kingscourt now for the year ahead, and obviously Amon and GA legend, he's gone up, and we wish him the best for the year. I know Jordan Morris's transfer is still talk about it, but kind of when you do look back, and I suppose when maybe Kingscourt maybe progress this year, would you kind of be of the opinion? I know obviously you're football mad, but would you be kind of thinking maybe what could I have done, what should I have done, or were you kind of happy with your lot at that time?
Well, I suppose when your end aim is to win the championship and you don't achieve that, you're obviously going to be left with, could I have done things differently? Should I have done this, that, or the other? I think overall, I would be quite happy with how we approach things. I think physically, Kingscourt were in very, very good shape. Like, I mean, we came through all the group games very, very strongly. We came through the quarterfinals strongly. Tactically, I suppose we played a sort of a high pressing game. We didn't really play with a low defensive block. We pushed up men, and maybe in the semi-final, John, that caught us out. We got hit on the break twice in the last 5 or 6 minutes for 2 late goals. You could argue if we were a little bit more defensive, or if we sat back more bodies, we may not have conceded goals in that game. But look, the way we played served us well all year. We were putting up good scores, and lads were playing well, and we were very, very happy and content with how we were playing. When you do come up against a team that are playing with sitting men back, there is always the threat of being caught on the counter-attack. So possibly that is something, if I was going back, that would be something I might revisit. Maybe being a little bit more cautious and holding some extra men back for cover. But other than that, quite happy with our year's work.
Definitely, Finbar. Obviously, we did see the final last year. Went to a replay, Ramor and Gowan, and obviously 2 very good games at the office. At the first game maybe a bit lackluster, but the second game really did light up a bit. And obviously, Ramor were just sensational. First 10 minutes game nearly was won. So I suppose the standard on both days was pretty good. I know Gowan did miss their chance the first day. Finbar looking back, but overall, Cavan football, senior football, is not in a bad place at the minute.
Yeah. Look, it's really positive in that we have 4 or 5 teams there that can win the championship. Like, I can never remember that. Like, you take Crishlaw won it 2 years ago. Ramor won it last year. Gowna are going to be thereabouts. There is absolutely no doubt. Cavan Gales are going to be thereabouts. Kingscourt were in the final 2 years ago. So there you are. Like, I mean, you've from that point of view, it's very, very interesting. The big question is, can any of these teams sort of below that, like your Ballinyas, your Killigarys, Lavies, can any of those break in and make it even more competitive? That's the big test.
Yeah, because it's funny you make that point, because I think if any of them teams were relegated, like if Ballina won the intermediate, if Killigary were intermediate, they'd probably win it themselves. Mullahoran faced into this year, they'd probably win an intermediate again. So that probably maybe is telling, like, are they probably off that intermediate standard when they do move up to that kind of senior level?
Well, I think Ballina definitely are. I think Ballina were very, very convincing intermediate winners 2 years ago. And I can tell you, Ramor were at their butt to get over Ballina in that quarter final. Like, Ballina are a very, very good senior team, and I think, if things go right for them now, they may not be too far. You could see Ballina getting to a semi-final. I don't know if there's enough there to maybe win it, but they are not too far away from breaking into that, challenging that top 4. After that, then I suppose your Butler's Bridge coming up. That's going to be interesting to see how they can fare out. They have some very, very, very exciting players, especially forwards, and it'll just be interesting to see how they fare out. Now, I think they will give a lot of teams in your sort of lower to mid bracket a real run for the money. I'd fully expect that.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be very interesting. I suppose obviously with Butler's Bridge kind of making that step up, and obviously kind of Ballina, so kind of teams off that standard. And I suppose when you go down that level of intermediate, kind of junior teams, and the intermediate is getting very hard to win. Finbar and obviously Castlerahan getting relegated last year as well. So Brian Donahue gone up to manage them. So Finbar, there's a lot to play for this year when you really look at it.
Well, the intermediate is always extremely difficult to win. It really, really is. It's a hard competition because you always have a senior team coming down, and you always have 2 or 3 in the mix. Like, you have Ballyhaise now in the mix for the last couple of years. Like, Ballyhaise are a really, really good team. Like, all you had to do was look at their league results. I think they were only maybe a point or 2 in terms of points scored from getting to a league semi-final, Division 1 league semi-final. So they are a really, really strong intermediate team. Cuchullins are a really strong intermediate team. You've Castlerahan coming down, fresh off winning 2 championships a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
you know, they are going to be really up for that because they're a competitive group. They're really competitive and really, really, you know, keen to get the best out of themselves. So Castlerahan will smell a championship. Brian Donoghue will smell a championship, and they'll leave no stone unturned to try and achieve that. And you have also Shercock coming down. You have Andy McGovern taking over Shercock.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, Andy's a great lad, great coach, and that's a really good appointment for them. So they'll be tough. They'll be tough to beat. They'll be hard to beat now. So really, really interesting championship, intermediate championship coming.
Who's managing Ballyaf, Finbar? Or who's over them?
Well, Adrian Maguire, I believe, is still there.
Right, and then Brian left now. Okay. Yeah, cute move for Brian to go to Castlerahan because I really feel to give it a good rattle this year.
Well, they're look at how they're an experienced bunch. You know, they've been down the road. They've played in 5 senior championship finals.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any retirements. I don't know I presume most of them guys are still there. Okay, they've lost probably Ronan and Keane, but they would have to be favourites.
Surely.
They would have to be favourites to win that based on their experience and all of that, you know.
Yeah.
They'll be keen to get back to senior football and not finish their careers at intermediate, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a championship.
Yeah.
They're all hard won. There's none of them easy won. So yeah, they'd have to be favourites for that intermediate.
And they'll definitely dare to be shot at as well. A lot of teams will be mad to get a scalp of Castlerahan this year, so it's going to be a very interesting year, senior, intermediate and junior, Finbar. And I suppose kind of touching on to yourself and kind of regarding your kind of Cavan days, and you know we were talking kind of off air about the trials and tribulations of Finbar. But so it was like, what was like the early days like for yourself? And obviously we were laughing at a couple of pictures in Sports File of you and Shawnee and all the boys down in Meath and the piping hot summer's day. So I suppose like the counting days to yourself when you were playing Finbar, like there must have been enjoyable.
Different times. It's you know, I come onto the squad. Jesus, September '98. Really showing me age here now. September '98. Like, and Cavan had just won Ulster '97, something like 15 months earlier. So. Like, it was such a huge thing to come onto that squad, and that was a very, very strong squad still. You still had that entire 97 squad, probably with the exception of Stephen King and Damien Riley. They were gone. Everyone else was there. And I remember coming in and you're 20 years of age, you're trying to break into a forward line that has Peter Riley, Larry Riley, Jason Riley, Mickey Graham, Anthony Ford, Ronan Carlin was still there, Fintan Cahill was still there, Raymond Cunningham was still there.
You should have started out, Finbar.
Like, I mean, it was difficult, and basically I sat it out for 2 or 3 years. It was really, now I got a couple of league games in 99, 2000, but it was really 2001 when I sort of broke into the team. In terms of league, into the league team consistently, into the championship team consistently. I suppose took over from Ronan from a free taking point of view in 2001 was sort of my first time really doing that, and that was a huge responsibility. And yeah, that was when it really kicked off for me. 01 was sort of when it really kicked off, and I was there thereabouts until 08. So it was enjoyable. I said the big problem, I guess, John, was a huge turnover of managers. You know, there was nearly a new manager coming every 2 years, which sort of stifled, you know, the development of the team in terms of a style of play, or just the consistency of team selection probably was chopping and changing quite a bit. You know, you had Liam Austin was there for my first couple of months. He was replaced by Val Andrews. He was there for a couple of years. He controversially, I suppose, left in 01.
Well, not so much for Val.
Just keep going with a lot of these boys. Matty Kerrigan came in, in 02. He was there for 2 years, and then God rest him and Coleman. He came in.
It was brilliant if he,
Jesus Christ. He came in with Marty McLennan in.
That was some combination.
Yeah, late 03. That was sort of 03.
Should we have cashed in more with that though? Like they're two serious men, Finbar.
Serious men. Like they completely changed the mentality of the dressing room. You know,
did the players give them back what they were given?
They did. Yeah. They did. You have to remember, in 2003, things were at an all-time low. Well, they were as low as they had been in a long, long time. Antrim beat us in the first round of the championship, and then I think we beat Louth. I think it was Louth we beat in the qualifiers, and then we lost to Fermanagh in the qualifiers. So basically, Antrim and Fermanagh knocked you out of the Ulster and the All-Irelands. So that was a real all-time low. So Coleman was coming in on the back of this. He was coming in, and I would have to say the one thing he done, he got all the best players, all the best available players. You know, there's always this talk that such and such isn't in and such won't go in or whatever. But all the best players in Cavan were in. They were definitely in. By the time Coleman got there, he got them in. He even got Trevor Crowe in, which was a remarkable achievement. I'd say second only to his All-Ireland win with Derry.
That's written on his gravestone.
Some achievement to get Trevor in, but he got him in. And
is he there for long, Trevor?
Trevor just done the 1 year. He just done the 1 year. But no, look, in the level of preparation, John, the training that we had with Marty McLennan on the pitch, the coaching, just the whole approach. Coleman's approach was it was ruthless. He ruled with an iron fist. He took no nonsense. Jesus, even if you were playing well, you probably were going to get a telling off. You know, there was there was no relaxing. There was no thinking you've achieved, you've arrived, you've done something significant. He just kept the finger on you. He just kept the boot to your throat all the time. You never felt comfortable. You always felt you had something to prove. You always felt that you were never safe in the team. He kept you on your toes, and as a result of that, the team definitely improved. I think we got promotion in the league. Just can't remember right, in 04, but we beat Down in the championship.
Oh yeah, great game.
After a replay, and then we're very unlucky to lose to Armagh in Clonus. Like, we lost Pierce McKenna was sent off within fucking 30 seconds or something like that. So you played Armagh, you're probably playing the best Armagh team ever.
Yes. In
the history of Armagh, this is their greatest team.
100%. Yeah.
And we lost to them. I think that into injury time we were winning by a point. And Armagh hit us with 3 late points, just pure and utter experience and know-how.
O'Sheen, Stevie.
Yeah, and I think Dermot Marsden might have got the winner.
Very underrated player, Marsden, Finbar.
Yeah, well, Dermot Marsden was very highly rated within that group.
Right.
He was very, very highly rated within that Armagh team. Like, his work rate and his tackling and his ball winning was just savage. Yeah, so may not have got the plaudits across Ireland, but he was well regarded in Ulster and in Armagh. You know, and when he left after 04, I think, and you know, he was a big loss. But yeah.
And any kind of stories in Coleman, because like I think I was saying a couple of weeks ago, I think Mark McKeever and poor old Gerard Pearson, I think there's a few stories about him. I think I always remember this one. Keane Mackey was doing an interview with the BBC. I think it was ahead of a championship game. I think Keane rocked up with a pair of Nike soccer boots to a thing and to a training session. And he came and got eyes on them, and he said, "If you don't throw them boots in the bin, Keane, I don't know what I'll do to you." So any familiar stories there from her?
I've won one or two now. I can remember I can remember after that that down match, we played down in 04 and it finished a draw in Casement Park. And I remember after them games in Casement Park, you kind of come out, all the players kind of assemble. They assemble outside around the back of the stand there, waiting for your bus to pull up. And a lot of the down players who we had just played and drew it and were due to play the following week in Breffni, all the down boys were across the road, and there was a chipper, right? There was a chip, these chip vans, you see them at all these matches. There was a chipper just up the street. And Shane Cole went up and got a curry chip or a bag of chips or some fast food of some description and came back down to the group, came back down to us, and here he was munching away on his curry chips. And sure, Coleman seen this, right, and was just like, he was absolutely mortified that the down boys were looking at some of the Cavan boys eating chips. Do you know what I mean? So he went over to Shane Cole and just slapped the chips, knocked the curry chips out of his hands, and just devoured them. Just like, what are you doing? What do you think you're doing? So, like, I mean, but only Coleman could pull that off.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, he was a ruthless character.
Yeah.
Lovely man away from football, but Jesus, when he was in the middle of it, like, he just was pure focus. All about winning, all about getting the best out of yourself. Look, there's many more stories. Look, I'll keep going.
By all means. Well,
I just give you one more. We played Tyrone in a McKenna Cup match early January, I think 05.
Like we always do.
Yes, this is early 05. Now, bear in mind, this was an unbelievable Tyrone team that took every game. They took every game serious.
They always did take the McKenna Cup seriously. Yeah.
Gosh, they've won about 100 of them. And we don't take the league serious. Like, who are you trying to cod? But anyway, we played Tyrone and they absolutely annihilated us. They done what that Tyrone team often done.
Yeah.
And of course, Coleman again was just mortified with this. Afterwards, in the dressing room, door was locked.
Oh God.
We were held back for at least an hour, and he went round every man and just devoured every man, told them exactly what he thought of them, told them exactly how they played or how they were preparing. And he got to Darren Rabbit, and before Darren Rabbit even could open his, before Coleman even could say anything to Rabbit,
yeah,
Darren Rabbit says, "Oh Jesus, to be honest with you, Eamon, it's an Old McKenna Cup match, and I wasn't really taking this serious." Coleman he was wearing a hat. He took off the hat and he slammed the hat on the ground and he stamped on his hat with pure rage.
Oh God!
And he was like, "That's the type of mentality and that's the type of mindset that has us losing games like this."
But that's kind of what I was saying at the start, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, yeah. Look, he's just such. they were not pleasant moments to be experiencing, but he was bit by bit changing the mentality. He was just changing the mentality. Some of the boys had never experienced that approach before.
Yeah, it seems all very kind of real and familiar, because like I'm very much of the opinion, like, if Cavan I know Mickey Graham, he's doing a fantastic job and fair play to him, but like, it'd be great if Cavan did have some type of man like Eamon Coleman at this current setup, because I think after the Ulster win, maybe expectations got very high and maybe lads kind of went with the expectation. But Finbar, if we did have a lad that just was like Coleman and really set the stone and probably put us back down to a bit of a level, Finbar, we'd be taking the league and McKenna Cup serious.
Well, yeah, I don't know if modern day players would
take that. Probably not.
Yeah, like, I mean, Jesus, like, I mean, it was ruthless stuff now. Like, I mean, like, I had never experienced that type of management before. That level of motivation, that level of aggressiveness, you know, like you really would be you would be really called out. Like he would ruthlessly call you out. He would single you out and would tell you straight up, you are not doing this. This is not good enough. You know, you need to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't do it, there's the door. That type of approach. Like, I mean, I had never experienced that, and I have to say that while it's not pleasant to have to experience it, you just have to take that on the chin and get on with it. I don't think that goes on anymore. I mean, I just don't think it does. I think modern day players just would not respond well. Some modern day players would not respond well to that approach. That sort of is now coined as the old school approach. And for some guys it works, John. For others it just doesn't. It just doesn't. Some guys just cannot take to that at all.
What's the response to all that, Finbar? Because obviously that's said on the Sunday. You train probably on the Tuesday, the Friday. Like, are lads chomping at the bit ready to go on Tuesday? Are lads saying, right, Jesus, Coleman said that it was on the Sunday? What's the maybe outlet from that or outcry from that? Because obviously maybe did it improve you? Did it improve the likes of Darren Rabbit? Or like obviously Rabbit probably kept quiet after that. But like, did it improve lads when he did get that narky?
But basically, in a nutshell, he's looking for a reaction. He would have been challenging you, and he'd have been getting stuck into you to see how you were going to respond to that. You know, what's this lad going to do? Is he going to shrivel up into a shell, feel sorry for himself, go home and whinge about it, whinge to your buddies about it, or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to
enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
I have to say that it was when you were getting the telling offs, and I got lots of them from him, I can tell you that much. It's not enjoyable. It was not enjoyable. And for a day or two, you go around, you're pissed off with him, you're angry, you feel that you were showing up. And then what I found was, as the days go on, that then turns to, right, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to train Tuesday night. I'm going to train Friday night. I am going to deliver. I am going to show him I'm not what he said I was. I'm not doing what he says I'm doing. I'm going to, you know, and bit by bit then you start to improve.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know, but some guys, John, couldn't deal with that. And I know there was a couple of fellas just couldn't take that type of criticism or that type of, you know, sort of really aggressively coming at you and calling you out. Some lads went the other way, you know, but I have to say, for me, it's not enjoyable being on the receiving end of it, but I definitely found that bit by bit, it improved me.
Yeah.
It improved me. It got the best out of me. Like, I probably went on 04, 05, 06, I probably played my best football, both with Lacken and with Cavan.
Yeah.
And I would have to say, he got me out of a comfort zone. You know, you're cruising along in cruise control, you're on a county panel, you think you're great, you're probably your best player in the club, but you're not really stretching yourself and bringing yourself on to another level and another level and another level. Yeah. And that's basically Coleman's approach in a nutshell. Yeah. He wanted to take you out of the comfort zone, see how far he could take you. Yeah. And if you weren't willing to meet him head on and try and prove him wrong or whatever, you're going to shy away. Well, then you are no good to him on a big day. His thing was, when it comes to the big day, when the pressure's on in Clonus or Breffni Park against the Downs and the Derrys and the Tyrones, you know, you're no good to him. If you can't deal with this approach, you can't prove me wrong, well then you ain't going to do it when we need you. And I just found that did that did bit by bit. That worked for me. It definitely did. It got me out of a comfort zone. I would have to say, at the time I didn't realise it.
Yeah.
But you're just you're in a comfort zone. You're on the county squad and all that, and blah blah blah, and you're whatever. You just needed to be pushed on to the next level, and that was the case really around that time. And it just was unfortunate. He got sick, and God rest, he's since passed away. But he definitely moved things on to another level, no question. And I mean, you look at his record with Gowna. He won five championships with Gowna. He brought that Gowna team, a team that had won a championship but had lost finals and were sort of on the verge of not, coming through on their potential.
Yeah.
But Coleman come in and, they just won championship after championship. He got the best out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fascinating stuff. And I suppose it's that, like, I wouldn't say, did you ever adapt that, but like maybe your dealings with players, and obviously maybe not what Coleman done, but were you ever maybe to some of your players to get the best out of them? Did you ever kind of maybe criticize them to a degree, or help with criticism, or was that something you ever wanted to maybe bring on to your coaching style, but maybe not to that degree?
Well, you probably want to ask some of the players, maybe some of the players that I've worked with. Maybe I probably have. Be honest with you, in some way, maybe not as cutting. The Coleman could be very, very cutting, and due to his reputation of being an All-Ireland winner and all of that, there you just didn't question him,
Yeah.
That's the type of approach that I found got the best out of me. Okay, and I would definitely use some form of that type of approach, sort of no nonsense. I would be completely honest with players. And when you're being honest with players, along the line has to come some form of criticism in a constructive way. And sometimes you really have to, in some way, get tough with guys and just say, look, this is not good enough. And, you have to be tough. You have to call it out. And I seen it happening, I seen it working, and it's an approach that I feel is healthy. I think if you want to clear the air in the dressing room, and you want a healthy dressing room, you have to be honest, and you can't be fudging it. You have to just call it as it is, be straight and be honest, and be strong with players. And I think if you're straight, honest, and strong with players, you get a good response.
Well, you get the best of your players, Finbar, because you're going to be, like, in management, you might be there for the year or two. The more honest you are with your players, you will get the best out of them. Because if you're saying, oh, Paddy, that might have been good enough, but try again. If you're brutally honest, like Coleman was, that's why he was so damn successful. Yeah.
Well, if you continue to treat a player, the way if he's playing at a certain level, and you just, you're treating him, you're not challenging him. You're just treating him as he is. You're just telling him that's good, you're doing well, everything's positive, everything's great, everything's nice. Well, then he stays at that level. As far as I'm concerned, he stays at that level.
Yeah.
Whereas if you challenge him, and you sort of, to some degree, call, it doesn't have to be in front of everybody. You call him out. You have more to give. You're not working hard enough. You're not, look at this video, look at this, you're not doing this, you're not, whatever it is, he needs to know it. And you're challenging him. And that you then have the potential to move him onto another level. You have the potential to make him better. Now, a lot depends on his attitude. He has to have the attitude. He has to be coachable. He has to be coachable and willing to accept some form of criticism, constructive criticism. He has to be called out on certain things, accept that, deal with it, and get to work on it. And 9 times out of 10, if he takes that on, he will improve. He will improve. So I have seen that working. I have seen players really taking that on board, John, and improving. And I have seen players not taking it on board, and basically not wanting to hear it.
Yeah.
To be blunt. But you're going to get that.
Yeah.
modern day players, you're going to get that. Some guys will take it on, some guys it will be alien to them to hear it.
Yeah.
So as a coach, as a manager, you need your players with you. You don't want to lose them. You do have to bring them with you, but your job is to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that by just fudging things and being nice and everything's great and everything's rosy in the garden. And I think that leads to an unhealthy dressing room. Whereas if you're honest. strong, honest, straight with everybody on an open floor, I think you have a healthier dressing room.
Yeah, no, it just kind of brings it back to that point. Like, you only have that bit of time. You want to leave a positive imprint. The more honest you are with your players, the more success you will have. So I just think that piece in Coleman definitely is a great bit of information. But I suppose kind of touching on, say, the likes of Mullinlock, you had your experience after Mickey Graham in Longford, and that was obviously going to be big shoes to fill down there, Finbar. But did you enjoy your wee spell in Longford?
I enjoyed some of it. It was. Look, tough job. Like, I suppose I accepted that job. Mickey had taken over the Cavan job in September of 2018, I think it was, and so he was still Mullinlock the manager.
Oh yeah.
So he was going into the 19th season with Cavan, but he was still Mullinlock the manager, and so whenever Mickey accepted that job, Mullinlock got on to me. So I suppose, long story short, I accepted the job long in advance of them even winning the third county championship in a row, let alone going on to win Leinster. So yeah, look, it was a tough job. It was a tough job to go into. They were coming off an unbelievable high. Like, there's no getting away from that. Like, there was so much made of winning, so much publicity and PR around winning the Leinster, which was an unbelievable achievement, no question about it. But look, it was a tough job. There's no getting away from it. You know, I didn't win the championship in my first year, which was a hugely disappointing thing. We got caught in a quarter-final by a last-minute penalty by Colin Kill. It was the only time we went behind in the game. We just had, look, it's just one of those things. We had a couple of injuries and that, and with a small squad, but we just didn't get the job done. We won the league, won the Leader Cup. So overall, we finished 2019 well by winning out the Leader Cup. The Leader Cup's a big thing in Longford. It's a big thing. It's bigger than the league even. So look, all in all, then get into the following year, 2020, we were going well. We were in the county semi-final, and next thing, COVID hit. All GEA games were pulled, so we didn't even get to finish that championship. That championship was finished last July. Slashers actually bet them in that semi-final. So look, all in all, it was a very good experience. You're working with some terrific players. They have a fantastic team, Mullinlock. Some great lads over there. Good team. But look, at some challenging moments in it as well. It wasn't all plain sailing. It just, you know, it's a tough transition to go from one management to the next. Yeah. And there were some enjoyable moments and some unenjoyable moments. Let's put it that way. But yeah, look, that's it. Every experience is a good experience, and you know, that's it. You move on.
Cavan in 17, obviously, and you and Matty McLean 2017, so relatively good year, and obviously Division 1 football, and obviously going down to Division 2 the following year, Finbar. But was that an enjoyable experience, kind of giving Matty a hand that year?
Yeah, it was. Wasn't. I suppose you played Division 1. And that was an unbelievable experience. Like, we played Dublin in the first game, and you know, just a massive Dublin. We're going for 3 in a row. Breffni Park packed to capacity. You're playing a serious level of football, and you know, we didn't win the match, and as subsequently we ended up getting relegated from that league, which was difficult. But I just felt we didn't get the best out of ourselves that year. I just felt that in terms of a style of play and a game plan, we needed to nail down much earlier in the year how we were going to play, and that just never happened. And I suppose, well, there's no suppose about it, the management team have to take responsibility for that. I think there was just too much chopping and changing in how we played. Like one day we were playing man to man, the next day we were playing with 30 men behind the ball and this sort of stuff. So there was an awful lot of chopping and changing, which left, for me, it just left the season. I just found it difficult to enjoy it because there was nothing concrete in place. I think when you're in the business of coaching and, getting the best out of players, you need to have things in place, total clarity for the players, total clarity for everyone involved. And just for me, that just was absent that year, and it just left the year a little bit, I don't know, how would you put it? It just was a little bit up and down, and it just never really got traction. The season never got traction. We never really got. Now we beat Mayo. We went to Mayo and had a big win, and then we drew with Kerry. The biggest disappointment for me that year was losing to Roscommon in the final game. Like we drew at Monaghan, and then a couple of games later we beat.
I don't know how we didn't stay up. I really don't.
Yeah, well, we got 4 points. We got 4 points in total. We beat Kerry. No, sorry, we beat Mayo.
Yeah.
And then the following week we drew with Kerry. Right, so we had 4 points.
Okay.
And we were going to Roscommon. We're going to Hyde Park the following week.
Okay.
To stay in Division 1. We needed to go and win that game.
Oh, we got bet, you see, yeah.
And we got bet, and it was a game we were in control of to some regard, and then we threw it away in the end. But it just was sort of a symptom of that year, up and down, and no consistency, and the results reflected that now, and there's no point in saying anything else. That Roscommon game, Dr. Hyde Park and Roscommon was a team and a venue we didn't beat often enough, and we didn't win often enough in Hyde Park, and it was a monkey we needed to get off the back, and we needed to go and win that game, and we didn't. So that was the biggest disappointment. But again, great experience, great working at that level, John, working with players at that level, competing against Dublin, Kerry, Mayo, Monaghan, some serious teams. So fantastic experience, and one that I have in the bank.
And who did we play in the qualifiers that year when Monaghan knocked us out? Who was it again? Offaly, and then
Tipperary.
Tip bet us, didn't it, in Breffney?
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. That was a dour day as well.
Big disappointment. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it did. Overall, it was a disappointing year.
Yeah, and then you finished up after that game, was it?
I did. Yeah. I was going back to college. I was going back to do a postgrad in Jordanstown at the end of 17. So I was doing a lot of traveling and stuff, and I had done a lot of coaching at that point. Between St. Pat's and Lacken and then Cavan, there was a little bit of burnout there, a little bit of fatigue, and I just took a year out. 2018, I'd done no coaching. I'd done a little bit of underage with Southern Gales, and that was it. I was doing a degree course in Jordanstown, so that was me.
And kind of any aspirations, like did Cavan kind of light the fire within you to maybe go back? I know you want to look after the county, but would a county job or a county background team ever, come into your path or the next few years?
It definitely would. I definitely would aspire to get back to that level. No doubt about it. I think you have to earn the right to get to that level. I don't think just because you were a past county player you should be, going in at that level. I think you have to earn the right. You have to coach teams at a certain level and be successful at a certain level, whether that be club or whatever, county underage or colleges or whatever the case is. I think you have to earn the right to get back there. But definitely I would have aspirations of operating at that level again. I think it's very important the people that you work with and are in with. That's also very, very important as well. It's just a vital factor that you're on the same the same wavelength and the same way of thinking as the people you're with.
Were you in Cavan, or did you have different ideas, or was it, like, Joe, like, but you're kind of saying you need to be on the same wavelength within maybe saying Cavan. Like, do you feel you had ideas when you were coaching Cavan that maybe weren't being put on the table, or was it a 50-50 camp?
In 2017?
Yeah.
Well, funny, in 2017, John, I wasn't doing the coaching.
Okay.
Funny enough, like I was the selector. I was pretty much in a selector. Like Lorcan Martin was doing the coaching. Like Matty brought Lorcan with him, so Lorcan was pretty much doing all the pitch work. Owen Maguire was doing all the physical fitness and all that sort of the fitness work and the S&C. Jesus, I done very, very, very little coaching. Maybe 5% of the pitch work, maybe. Yeah. Which, look, didn't really suit me, to be honest. I do like to be stuck into the middle of it. And
that's what I was thinking, yeah.
With the whistle around the neck. No, I done very, very little coaching that year. And that probably, to be honest with you, that probably led to a lot of the frustration.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so I would have had very, very set ways in my head of coaching a team and a style of play and all of that. And it probably wasn't really aligned with what we were doing, But that's, look at every manager and every management are entitled to have their own sort of style. But there probably needed to be more sort of grouped up thinking for that particular year and get everyone on the same page, and I don't think that really happened.
Yeah, and obviously a couple of lads left the panel. I suppose we're looking when you're losing the likes of Eugene Keaton and David Givney and lads like that. They're big names to leave the dressing room. 2015 Finbar, McGrory champions with St. Pat's Cavan. What a day at the office. Lots and lots and lots of years of hard work. Lads coming in, they're getting the right men in place. A sensational day for the men of Cavan.
Great day. Look, unbelievable day. Really was. It was, how would you put it? It was something, I think it was something that we always felt was nearly out of reach. That a McRory is for the Maharas and the Oma CBS and the Pat's Dungannon and Coleman's and Newry. It's not for St. Pat's Cavan. That was sort of a mentality for a long, long time. We were fortunate enough. We had a team coming along that had been successful at Dalton and had won a Brock and had won a Ranafast. Really super bunch of boys, and there was a huge amount of work, coaching work and all sort of work put into them. And at the back of our minds, as we were moving up through the years with that group, the back of our minds was, the big question was, can this team go on and win a McRory? And we were all sort of working towards that. And in 2014, we got to a semi-final, very, very unlucky with a lot of injuries, lost to a really good Mahara team who went on to win it and got to the Hogan Cup final. That just sort of whet our appetite. And the following year, we left no stone unturned to achieve that. It was really now or never. It was really now or never. If this team wasn't going to win a McRory, well, I don't know when it was going to happen. Yeah. So there was a huge effort put in by everybody involved, and we had one defeat in the group stages. Actually, St. Paul's Bestbrook, who were absolutely flying before Christmas, they beat us by a point in a group game. But we slightly tailored our approach from the year before. We sort of left our sort of heavy training till a little bit later on. But anyway, look, we just came right at the right time, John. We beat Letterkenny in a quarter-final, and we beat Oma, who were really our sort of nemesis the whole way up, beat them in a semi-final. And then, thank God, it all came together on St. Patrick's Day against Dungannon. We won by 10 points in the end now, but we only pulled away in the last probably 10 minutes. It was tit for tat. Fergal O'Rourke made two unbelievable saves. Unbelievable saves. Thomas Galligan had the game of his life. Like, he caught ball at midfield, he caught ball at full back, he caught it at full forward.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. Look, I could talk about that team all night. There was just some brilliant fellas on that team with joint captains, Pierce Smith from Crishaw and Cian McManus. Two unbelievably mature guys for their age.
Yeah.
Them guys used to play. They used to play like lads at 26 and 27. They just were so mature, unbelievable leaders. They led the line. Everybody looked up to them, and whenever you were in trouble in games, them boys just came to the surface. And there was others too. There were some brilliant players on that team, brilliant characters, and them boys went on to be, you could argue, the most successful team ever to go through St. Pat's. Now, I know we didn't win the All-Ireland, but they won 4 Ulster Championship medals, 4 Ulster Colleges medals. Dalton lost the Coronado final, won the Brock, won the Ranafast, won the McCrory. Like, that is, like, John, that's unheard of now. Like, that only happens once every 10 or 20 years. That some of them powerhouse schools will have a team like that just blitzes everything. And like, here we were, St. Pat's went from winning nothing, you could virtually say, for 30 years. And then this team just, it just was, look, it was good timing, even from, my own point of view, to get involved with them. And I was very, very hungry, and they were hungry, and we were all very ambitious, and we wanted to make it happen. And thank God we did.
Definitely, Finbar. I suppose, how proud are you of all them lads now? Because obviously, Cian McManus on the Fermanagh senior team, Tomas Galligan, Thomas Edward Donoghue, all them lads. Like, just to probably name a few, Finbar, but like, you're very proud of them lads currently.
Definitely, very much so. Very much so. Like, they've all went on. A lot of them have played Sigerson football. Luke Fortune has won a Sigerson medal. Thomas Edward Donoghue has won a Sigerson. Jesus, Thomas Galligan is still playing Sigerson football. That man doesn't want to leave education.
Too handy, Finbar. Too handy.
Too handy. They've all. A lot of them have went on to play county football and are still playing it. And
you're like a proud dad, Finbar. You're like a proud dad.
Well, look, you've seen them coming up from the age of 14, 15, 16 into 17, 18. You were in the trenches with them for 4 or 5 years there, when they were in St. Pat's, and you now see them going on to play for, Thomas is playing with Jordanstown, he's playing with Cavan, Cian McManus, Pierce, Matty McKenna, played with DCU, now playing with Fermanagh and Cavan. You've other guys, Dara Kennedy's playing with UCD. Look at the list goes on. It's brilliant to see them, and indeed their clubs. They're doing brilliant things with their clubs. Luke Fortune went on to win a senior championship with the Gaels. So he's had some, like Luke Fortune in the last couple of years has won a McCrory Cup, a county championship, a Sigerson, an Ulster championship. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Thomas Galligan has, I think, every medal bar a senior championship that you could possibly want. He has under 21 championship, he's minor championship, he's McCrory Cup, he's man of the match in the McCrory final, he's Ranafast, he's Brock, he's now trying to win a Sigerson, he's All Stars, he's an Ulster championship with Cavan. And you're just.
But Finbar, he was a freak even the first year. Like, the man was just. He could play senior football when he was in first year. A freak, Finbar, freak.
Yeah. He unbelievable strength.
Yeah.
He has scary strength and has turned that into power. Like, he now has pace, put the pace with the strength, and when he gets up on a gallop, there's no one in the country would stop him. When he's in the mood and on form and on song, there's no stopping him now when he's moving. When he's moving at pace, like, no question. So look, it's nice to have played some part on them boys on their journey, sort of setting them out in some regard on their journey.
There we go, Finbar. That's some Pat's covered. Nice, easy question, I suppose, probably on your playing career. But one question to ask you beforehand. There's a young Finbar Riley. You're not old. There's just a younger version of Finbar Riley trying to make that breakthrough onto the county panel anywhere at all. Finbar trying to get to that next level. What advice would you give him?
Be patient. I think I wasn't patient. I would be. And now when I'm coaching and managing, you're preaching the importance of subs and the bench and the panel and the importance of positivity and all this sort of stuff. I was not a good sub. I absolutely hated not playing. I hated being on the bench. I'm not proud of that. You know what I mean? I wasn't patient. I felt that I had committed and I was putting in the work the same as everyone else, and I wanted to play. So my advice now would be patient, put the work in. This is a very, very, very short moment in your life. Like your 20s just shoot by. All of a sudden you're 30 and it's starting to dwindle away from you. So maximize the moment, do whatever you can to get the best out of yourself in terms of nutrition, strength and conditioning, practice. Like I used to kick frees, John, anywhere I could find a pitch. If I was in Dublin at the time, or in Lacken or Breffni Park, I kicked frees after day after day after day. So practice, do whatever you can to improve your game. Be patient, and when the time comes, take your chance. Take your chance.
Last one, Finbar. The best player you played with and the toughest player you played against. Nice, easy one.
The best player, I think the most gifted player I played with was Larry Riley.
Yeah.
And I would be the first man to tell Larry that he would do some silly things on the pitch now at times. He'd shoot from, this is the coaching hat on now, he'd shoot from silly positions and stuff like that, but he had a turn of pace.
Yeah, talk the words out of my mouth, yeah.
He had a shimmy and a dummy and a solo dummy and a jink that was ridiculous. And I used to watch him. I used to go, how come I can't do that? I just would so love to do that. And he just bought and sold the best defenders in the country.
Yeah.
But just with that jink and dummy and swerve that he had and a turn of pace, and he was left-footed, but he could finish left or right. And he just was he was a freak of a thing now. You know what I mean? Like he was a special type of player. He was a finisher. There's other players, midfielders, halfbacks, maybe flair players, maybe more. But Larry just was unique. He just had that gift of turn of pace, skill on both sides, and a great character. So I'd say Larry's the best I played with. Best I played against. Does this have to be somebody I marked or someone I was on the same pitch against?
Maybe on the same pitch. It doesn't matter, yeah.
I liked Peter Cavan.
Chesty Riley said that because Chesty was marking him one day and Chesty was tough to town.
I wouldn't say the toughest player I marked was Rice and McMenamin.
Shock hour.
When you have a defender scoring more from play than you and you wing forward, you're in trouble. But Canavan, I played against him in a couple of games, league finals, Ulster final.
Genius.
Just ridiculous. He just was awesome player. And a hateful Tyrone hooer. You can cut that out if you want.
Nice way to finish up, Finbar. That could be the intro. If there's any Tyrone fans watching.
But he had he had an edge.
He did, of course he did.
Yeah, see McMenamin had that too. All them Tyrone boys, they had that edge. You need that.
Conor Gormley.
Them boys take your life. You had Cavan teams didn't have that edge. That's and you see, this is what I'm saying. This, going back to the Coleman thing, that is the edge that Coleman was trying to instill.
But it's funny, like you're remarking that, like I've done. I was chatting to Conor Gormley, I know him well, and you just know he's such a quiet fella, but just a born winner. Knew what it took to win, and by God, what are we talking? 3 All-Stars, 4 All-Stars, 3 All-Irelands. You know, that's the difference, Finbar.
Yeah, well, he was a ruthless individual on the pitch. Them boys were just, them boys would go to the line, and they would go to the edge of the line, and in some cases they would cross the line to do whatever it took.
Yeah.
In terms of intimidation, verbals, physicals, whatever it was, whatever it took to get the job done. That was the edge them boys had. And, there was a softness, and has been a softness, in a lot of Cavan teams over the years. And that's what I'm saying about what Coleman was trying to knock that softness out, and he was trying to develop that tougher edge, so that when you come up against these boys, that he had brought you through, that he had put you through the mill, that he had tested you, he had called you out, he had basically challenged you, and that you had come through those challenges and you were ready for this. So you get what I'm saying. It's that psychological thing that I think there tends to be a softness now in a lot of dressing rooms, because that type of approach is absent.
Yeah, I suppose that kind of lethargic nature, I suppose. And
well,
I don't know. Yeah,
it's too sanitized. It's too PC. Have to be careful what we say.
You'd like to see you coming back, Charlie.
Yeah, well, in bits and pieces.
We have to wait to see. Finbar Riley, that was an absolute pleasure. I could feel I could do another hour or two, but there's beds that need to be hit at this stage. But Finbar, thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, this podcast is brought to you by outgoing and Atak.ie. Using promo code JMAC podcast to get 15% off on outgoing and get the best skins, gloves, and equipment on Atak.ie. Be attack minded, and if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe on YouTube. Sports been absolutely brilliant so far. Finbar, thanks a million.
No problem, John. Thank you.